Do you want some ideas for using those cute little A2 size paper pads or your 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper without making scraps? Hi, I'm Jess from jesscrafts.com and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today I have an A2 paper pad from scrapbook.com, but as I mentioned, this works well for 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, so this is just a standard piece of cardstock, but if you were to cut an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper into 4 equal sections, then you'd be able to use the sketch as an A2. So this A2 paper busting template does work with directional pattern paper, as many of the A2 paper pads that I have seen do have a lot of directional pattern paper. Today's paper happens to not be. It's actually a really easy, versatile paper to work with. It is the Winter Pattern Collection because even though Christmas has come, well, maybe not by the time I release it, it's close. It's like the 20th when I'm recording this, so I don't know exactly when it will come out, but I get it. Like, Christmas, some people are done. They're like, but at the same time, winter hasn't even technically started here on the 20th, so we still have time to do all our winter crafts. I want to enjoy winter stuff a little bit longer. Okay, so I'm gonna follow the sketch. The sketch tells me this is super simple, as many of these are going to be, because I don't have a lot of paper to work with, and I'm gonna make 2 cards today. I'm gonna cut it in half, so it'll be 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. Then that's all you need for your paper trimmer. Well, I mean, you have to cut some cardstock, so let's just do that now. Then I need to cut a cardstock mat that's 1/4 inch bigger, so I'm going to cut it to 4 1/2 by 3, and I'm using purple cardstock today because I don't use enough purple cardstock, and I like purple. I really enjoy the color purple. I enjoy this particular shade of purple. So anyway, this paper collection is definitely more like in the blues, and I love navy, so that would be like something I would just jump to using with it, but I thought purple goes nicely with wintry themed things. We sometimes only really see it at Halloween though. Okay, so then you're going to cut a 2-inch circle. So I have these Hero Arts Infinity dies, which mean they have like many different size circles. And then they have the next size up, which is perfect for this kind of thing because I want to cut a mat with the next size up. And I'm going to find one. I'm going to kind of take a guess at it first, which one looks to be about 2 inches. And I have a little ruler here on my mat. So that's 1, that's 2. That's a little too big, but maybe that'll be my mat sized one. And then that's just over 2 inches. So, or maybe the circle itself is exactly 2 inches, but the die is a little bit wider. So what I'm gonna do is the side that I want the circle to be. So in this case, I want the circle to be the reverse of this paper is a solid paper. I want it to be out of the solid color paper. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to place the die on the side that I want to cut and be showing in the end, because it's a really subtle thing, but if I were to cut it on this side, the finishing on the edges will be a little less than perfect with the way that dies work, because they're pushing it through them, pushing the metal through the paper to cut. They do leave a little bit of like an impression, and can even sometimes you can like leave a little mark at the edge of paper. So that's why I'm going to suggest you cut it out of the side that you want to be sort of the final circle. And I'm going to take the larger one and I'm going to cut it out of the same mat, because this is all going to be covered up with pattern paper in a moment. So as long as this circle mat is not bigger than the pattern paper, we're all good to go, and we don't have to be wasting any additional cardstock. The other thing that you have to note, because this is a no scrap sketch, you will have to replace the circle exactly where you cut it out. So when I flip this over, this circle has to go pretty much back in that spot. It's gonna have a mat around it, but you do want to consider that. So if you want your card to do what the sketch does and like have the circle off to the right, make sure that when you flip your paper around, it's still gonna make sense. Then for the sentiment, I wanted to use a sentiment from so there's this winter paper collection, and then there was the coordinating winter, Hello Winter stamp set, and they were sold together as a bundle. And so since many people also had the bundle, I thought I would share how I would use them together. And I want to stamp Cheers to a New Year. Because it's a little bit bigger of a sentiment, I'm actually going to use my MISTI. A lot of times I just use a stamp block. I think the MISTI is great, but I don't use it that often. I only use it for like times when I really need it. And to me, this is an instance of that. This is also pretty tight on this 2-inch circle here, so maybe I should have made it a little bit bigger. There was a bit of room on the card probably to do that, but I'm gonna roll with it. I kind of want to know what it will look like in purple. Like maybe to tie in a little bit of more of the purple. So this is what I would do in that instance. I don't want to take a risk right here because again, this is a no scrap. So this is, if I mess this up, then I have to go to another piece of paper and start creating scraps. So what I'm going to do instead is I originally pulled out some dark gray ink thinking that's what I was going to use, but sometimes, you know, I just have a thought in the middle of things. And I'm going to stamp it here on the back side since I'm not going to see this gray, but it's still going to give me an idea of what it will look like on the back side of the gray paper. The thing I don't actually pull out that often is my ink swatches, and this won't be as helpful because I'm going to stamp on gray paper, so it's the color is going to affect things. But it looks like Lawn Fawn Sugar Plum is probably the closest. I had considered, when I look at the tops of them, sometimes they look a little bit different, so it can be helpful to have these. I also cut these little, they're like coin pockets. Jennifer McGuire, it's her idea, but I just cut mine smaller because I didn't need like a big sheet for my drawer, and this worked a little better. So just if you kind of are like, I love the idea of those coin pockets, but they're just too big, this is an alternative. So, okay, Sugar Plum, Lawn Fawn ink. I'm not really worried about the placement or anything here because I'm just checking the color. This is a brand new stamp, and so it's also great to stamp it off just a few times to make sure that it stamps nicely. As you can see, it was a little imperfect there, but ooh, I do like the purple. So one more thing I wanted to share about this process is that I am using tape to hold this down instead of the MISTI magnets because I find that even though if I could, like there's not a lot of extra room on here, but even if I could get the magnets to cover those spaces, I find that the thickness of them sometimes interferes with the stamping, and so I don't like them to be particularly close to what I'm stamping, and then I'll switch over to tape for those instances. And of course, you can reuse this tape multiple times. It's a low-tack mint tape from scrapbook.com, and you can, you know, stamp it multiple times and that will keep it in place. If I haven't mentioned it earlier than this point in the video, this is a free paper busting template available at jesscrafts.com. The link is always the very first thing in the video description so that you can go ahead and download it. You enter your email address, it gets sent to you, and you can find a bunch of them. This is number 5. There are 10 for A2 size paper, so if you want all 10 of them, you can purchase them now in a pack on Etsy, or you can just wait for them to be released one by one for free. So this sketch calls for you to then center your rectangle. It leaves a lot of white space, which I personally like the look of. I know it's not for everyone, but then I'll layer my pattern on top and my cardstock mat. Now here, because there's a layer of cardstock and a layer of pattern paper, you might want to take a scrap of cardstock and place it in the center of the circle here so that when you go to place this down, you don't have to like push it through the layers. But honestly, these are pretty thin. Like the pattern paper layer is not terribly thick, so you can skip it. But it's just something to consider, especially if for some reason you feel like your adhesive isn't holding down that circle as much. It's because, you know, it needs to get through those layers, and the little cardstock propping could help. But also, it can just add some dimension to your card, and that can be really nice. And then we'll add our circle on top. Now, you could call this card done, of course, but in the spirit of, and actually push that down, in the spirit of wanting to use some of my winter stuff longer, more, beyond the, you know, it's not even beyond the season, because again, it is still winter, but I just feel like sometimes it's like, you know, December 25th hits and some people just like pack away the snowflakes and everything, and I don't want to do that. Especially, I found these really pretty ones, and I guess I totally also understand, for some people, Christmas doesn't mean snow, and so they don't even have the snowflakes out for Christmas, and that's fine. But for me, Christmas means snow, New Year's means snow, the next couple months means snow here, so we have to embrace it and enjoy it a little bit. So anyway, there I found these Felicity snowflakes from Birch Press Designs, and I just really enjoy a beautiful snowflake, and especially ones with outline dies. But I didn't even realize this when I bought it, and then I was like, that was definitely a great decision. The snowflakes, all 4 delicate little snowflakes, are attached, so you can cut them all at the same time, and then you can cut all of the outlines at the same time. Now, if I would, there are certain techniques where you would probably like them to be individual. So it's not for everyone. But as someone who owns more than 1 snowflake die, probably more than like 5 snowflake dies or die sets, I'm fine with having some that are a little bit easier to work with because I don't have to tape down each individual one. And so I'm going to be able to add some snowflakes to this. I do think I unfortunately probably want the small ones, although that's starting to feel like it's crowding my sentiment. Maybe I need to spread them even further out. Maybe I need a higher contrast. Maybe I should cut them out of the purple, because these just don't have enough presence with the gray. BRB. Oh, that's much better. I like the purple snowflakes a lot more. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. Of course I was gonna like the purple snowflakes more because sometimes I just like to be matchy, matchy, matchy. I mean, it's the easy thing to do sometimes because it just looks good, you know, like I don't have to, and these snowflakes stand out, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted a really nice, pretty wintry card, but I threw on the New Year's sentiment there, so I had a specific purpose for it. Maybe even if, because like now's the time to really be sending New Year's cards. I mean, again, I don't remember exactly when I'll release this, but you know, that's the thing about New Year's, it comes so close after Christmas. If you're a card maker and you want to send out some New Year's cards, you gotta be on your game there. So we'll glue those snowflakes on. Of course, you could pop them up for a little bit of interest. They would look really pretty in like glitter paper and stuff as well. But I'm gonna keep it super simple today and really enjoy the winter crafting. If you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.